yes, I think in the last class we were discussing about the diagonal relationship of beryllium and aluminum as well as nanomolar properties of beryllium. In this class we are going to discuss about the calcium and compounds of the calcium. Some of the important compounds of the calcium are going to be discussed in this particular class. Now start the class with it. That is calcium and its compounds. Some of the important compounds we will see. First of all, we are talking about the calcium. As we know that calcium is calcium is the most abundant element of the alkali earth metal. What we can say? Because if you see relative abundance of elements of the second group in the earth crust, the calcium is the most abundant, followed by the magnesium. Calcium is the most abundant metal of alkali earth metals, and it occurs in combined state in the form of various different compounds, such as, if you are talking about the first one, calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate exists in different forms such as limestone, chalk, marble, etc. forms exist. Another compound we can say that gypsum. Gypsum is also another important compound of calcium. The formula of the gypsum is calcium sulfate bihydrate. Calcium sulfate bihydrate is called as gypsum. This calcium sulfate is having one more form, which is called as unhydrated. That is, the unhydrated calcium sulfate is called as unhydrated, and it also exists in the form of fluorospore. Fluorospore is one of the compound of the calcium. Its formula is calcium fluoride. It does also exist in the form of fluorapatite. The formula of the fluorapatite is that PCA3 PO4 taken twice CF. This is a fluorapatite which is basically occurs in the enamel of the teeth, and it also occurs in the form of phosphorite. Phosphorite is also one of the important ore of the calcium, which is Ca3PO4 taken twice. It also occurs in the form of dolomite. Dolomite is a combined form, but from this you cannot extract calcium commercially. You can give that as a compound. These are the different forms of the calcium that occurs in the nature. Since it is a more reactive metal, it generally does not occur in the free form in the nature. It exists in the combined state in the form of various salts such as calcium carbonate, calcium sulfate, calcium phosphate, calcium fluoride, etc. compound. When it comes to the extraction of calcium is extracted by electrolysis. Since these first A and second A group elements are generally S block elements, since they are more reactive and more reducing in nature, they oxides cannot be reduced by any other reducing agents because they are the strongest reducing agents. Because of that reason, the best way of extraction of these highly reactive metals is that electrolysis of their fused soil. So generally calcium is extracted from the electrolysis of fused CaCl, calcium chloride. Here the electrolytic mixture generally consists, right? Calcium fluoride, and calcium fluoride. This mixture is subjected to the electrolysis. The purpose of adding calcium fluoride to reduce the fusion temperature. And in this electrolytic process, generally the anode taken is that graphite, and cathode is taken as iron. And when you subject electrolysis, generally you know that calcium chloride dissociates. Calcium chloride dissociates as calcium plus is plus 2Cl minus. And generally what happens in the reaction? The overall reaction we can write that calcium chloride on electrolysis. Deposition of calcium takes place with the liberation of fluorine gas. Here we have to take fused. What is meant by fused calcium chloride? The molten solution of the calcium chloride is called as fused calcium chloride solution. What is meant by aqueous calcium chloride solution? Solution of calcium chloride in water will be called as aqueous. Here we are taking fused CaCl. So you get this calcium at cathode and chlorine at anode. If you are talking about the reaction at cathode generally what happens? Ca+2 reaches cathode and gets 2 electrons and converts into calcium solid. At anode what happens? At anode, you 2Cl minus reaches anode and they convert it into Cl gas with the liberation of 2 electrons. These 2 electrons will reach cathode and they will generally reduce the calcium plus 2 to calcium. This is the extraction of calcium. Right? One more important thing is that calcium cannot be extracted. Calcium cannot be extracted from calcium hydroxide. Since when you are heating this calcium hydroxide, it thermally decomposes to calcium oxide plus 4. Because of that reason, calcium cannot be extracted from the calcium hydroxide. This is about the calcium and its extraction process. Would it clear so far? And now we will discuss about the important compounds of calcium. There are several commercially important compounds are formed by calcium. For example, in this chapter we are going to discuss about the first compound, quicklime, calcium oxide, and then we are going to discuss about the slate lime, calcium hydroxide. We are going to discuss about calcium carbonate and limestone, and after that we are going to discuss about gypsum as well as plaster of Paris, and we are also going to discuss about this cement. These are some commercially important compounds of calcium. We will discuss them one by one. The first compound is that this is generally called as calcium oxide. It is also called as a quicklime. What is called quicklime, or it is also called as bond lime. Now basically this calcium oxide is prepared. In all these compounds we are going to discuss about their general methods of preparation and their general properties and their uses. In all the 5 compounds we are going to discuss the same aspect. So when it comes to the calcium oxide, it can be generally prepared by the calcination of limestone. It is generally prepared or manufactured from the calcination. What is meant by calcination? Calcination is a process where a substance is strongly heated in the absence of oxygen. The process of heating of a compound at high temperature in the absence of oxygen is called as calcination. Calcination of limestone. What is meant by limestone? Limestone is nothing but calcium carbonate is called as limestone. When this calcium carbonate is heated at a temperature of 1070 Kelvin, it will be converted into calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. So because of this reason, this calcium carbonate is a good source for the quicklime as well as the carbon dioxide. This calcium oxide form will be called as quicklime, but it is also called as burnt lime. Since it is produced by the limestone. What is this? This is called as limestone. This is the one of the method of preparation of calcium oxide. When it comes to its properties, it is an amorphous, white amorphous. It is a white amorphous solid with a melting point of 2870 Kelvin. It readily absorbs water, moisture and carbon dioxide from atmosphere. Readily absorbs water or moisture and carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Suppose if you are exposed to the atmosphere, it readily absorbs the moisture of the atmosphere and turns into calcium hydroxide. In the same way, you will also absorb the carbon dioxide and turns to calcium carbonate. It also combines with the silica. This is silicon oxide, which will form. This is called calcium silicate. Calcium silicate equals. This is an important reaction which is used in the extraction of iron. In the extraction of iron is generally extracted from the iron oxide, which is associated with the impurities of silica. This silica impurity is generally removed by using calcium oxide. This is a chemical reaction for the removal of silica impurities from the iron extraction. Right? It also reacts with the phosphate. Phosphorus. It is tetraphosphate deca oxide. We call it as. Here it will form corresponding calcium phosphate forms. If you want a balanced reaction, take 6 moles of calcium oxide and it forms 2 moles of calcium phosphate. This is called as calcium phosphate. This is actually an important compound. This calcium phosphate is actually constituent of the bones and as well bones of our body. Right? These are just some general chemical reactions of the calcium oxide, which is also called as quicklime. Now, as it quickly absorbs the moisture, it generally forms calcium hydroxide. This calcium hydroxide is called as the aqueous solution of calcium hydroxide is called as lime water or slaked lime, which is a very good source of alkali. It is the cheapest form of the alkali. Calcium oxide is the cheapest form of the alkali. And if you are talking about the uses, of calcium oxide, first of all, it is used in making of cement. It is one of the constants of the cement. Secondly, it is the cheapest form of alkali. Alkali means base. It is a cheaply available base. When you add water to calcium oxide, it forms a basic solution. This is the cheapest form of the alkali solution that we have available. And it is used in purification of sugar solution of sugar. It is also used in manufacture of sodium carbonate as well as glass and mortar. Mortar is a building material which is similar sort of cement. We are going to discuss about the mortar in the next concept. Now, these are some general uses of calcium oxide. This is one of the important compound of the calcium. Second important compound is calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide. The formula of the calcium hydroxide is CaO2 It is also called as a slaked lime. Slaked lime. we're talking about the preparation of this calcium hydroxide, it is generally prepared from calcium oxide. Calcium oxide when dissolved in water, it forms calcium hydroxide. Right? This is called snake line. When you are dissolving this calcium oxide in water, if you are adding water to this, if you are dissolving, it forms aqueous solution. This aqueous solution of calcium hydroxide is called as lime water. Right? If you filter out this solution, you will get a clear solution. The clear solution will be called as lime water, and the suspension remaining called as a snake lime. This is a calcium hydroxide preparation. If you are talking about the properties, it is also amorphous, white. It is also a white amorphous solid, which has a melting point about the 2600 degrees Celsius. Right? It is readily soluble in water. Generally, what happens? It readily absorbs carbon dioxide to form calcium carbonate plus water, and it also reacts with the sodium carbonate to form plus calcium carbonate. This particular reaction is called plasticization, which is used in the preparation of sodium hydroxide. And when it is treated with chlorine, 2 moles of calcium hydroxide reaction with 2 moles of chlorine, it forms calcium chloride plus calcium hypochlorite with the liberation of 2 moles of water. This particular mixture is called as bleaching powder. Bleaching powder we call it. Bleaching powder is. And on heating, this calcium hydroxide generally gets converted into calcium oxide with the liberation of water. These are some chemical reactions of calcium hydroxide. And we are talking about the uses. When it comes to the uses, it is generally used in manufacture of bleaching powder. Right? When it is used in manufacture of mortar. Mortar is actually a building material which is similar to cement. This mortar is generally prepared from when this one part of calcium hydroxide is added to 3 parts of sand and water. Resultant mixture is called as mortar. This mortar is generally used in the building purpose in building materials previous to the discovery of cement. It was an alternative of cement in the early days. There are different types of mortars. When you are mixing this particular mixture of calcium hydroxide and sand clay with the water, that forms a very hard mass which resembles the cement. When the cement powder is mixed with the water, as it becomes harder, solid substance which is similar to rock, this mortar also has similar sort of substances. There are different types of mortars. This is an ordinary mortar where one part of calcium hydroxide is mixed with the 3 parts of sand and water. There is another mortar which is called as cement mortar. When mortar plus cement, when mortar is mixed with cement, this particular mortar is called as cement mortar. There are different combinations. When calcium hydroxide is mixed with clay means nothing but it contains both silica as well as aluminum. This particular mixture is called as a hydraulic mortar. What do you call this? Hydraulic mortar called as. These are the different forms of the mortars, which is used as a building material. And along with this, it is also used in the preparation of. It is used as it is used in whitewash. Whitewash. What is meant by whitewash? Generally, for houses we apply the white coating of calcium hydroxide, which is called as whitewash, as it is a disinfectant. Disinfectant. It is also used in manufacture of sodium hydroxide, calcium chloride, glass, etc. These are some uses of calcium hydroxide. The next important compound is calcium carbonate. As we know, calcium carbonate occurs in the various forms in the nature, such as limestone, marble, chalk, etc. The third important compound is calcium carbonate. It exists in various forms, such as marble, limestone, chalk, etc. It can be prepared, but if you are talking about the preparation, generally, when calcium chloride is treated with when calcium hydroxide is exposed to carbon dioxide, it forms calcium carbonate with relation to water. Otherwise, we can also say when sodium carbonate is treated with calcium chloride, it forms calcium carbonate plus water. Right? If you are talking about the properties, it is a white crystalline solid. Which is insoluble in water. Calcium carbonate is generally insoluble in water, but it is soluble in water. It is soluble in water in presence of carbon dioxide. If the carbon dioxide is present, it will be soluble in water. Calcium carbonate plus carbon dioxide in presence of carbonate, it will be soluble in water since it forms calcium bicarbonate. You know that all the bicarbonates of alkali earth metals are soluble in water. Now, when you are heating this strongly, it will readily decompose into calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. It is a good source of carbon dioxide as well as the calcium oxide. Now, if you are talking about the uses of calcium carbonate, the important uses are: it is used as a marble in building materials. It is also used in making of chalk, paints and distempers. Right? It is also used. Calcium carbonate is used in toothpaste, tooth powders and face oils. Finely divided powder of calcium carbonate is used in toothpaste, tooth powder and face oil. It is used in extraction of iron to remove silicate impurities. As I said, this when you are heating this calcium carbonate forms calcium oxide. This calcium oxide combines with silica present in the iron oxide, which will be converted to calcium silicate. This will be called as flux. It is used as a flux. Flux is a compound which is used to remove the impurities from the ore, are called as fluxes. Calcium carbonate is used as a flux in the purification of iron or extraction of iron, and it is also used, if you are talking about other use, it is used in preparation of, in manufacture of glass as well as carbon dioxide, etc. These are some of the uses of calcium carbonate. Now, another important component of the calcium is that calcium sulfate. What is this? Calcium sulfate. This calcium sulfate exists in two forms. This is we call unhydrated, the unhydrated calcium sulfate. Another form is that calcium sulfate 2H2O. This is we call as gypsum. This is we call it as gypsum. When it comes to the preparation, it can be prepared from calcium chloride on reaction with H2SO4. It forms calcium sulfate plus 2HC. From calcium chloride on reaction with Na2SO4, it also forms calcium sulfate plus what is this? 2 moles of NaCl. Or it can also be prepared from the calcium carbonate or reaction with H2SO4. It forms calcium sulfate plus carbon dioxide plus H2O. Right? It is also a white crystalline solid, sparingly soluble in water. Sparingly soluble in water. We are talking about the gypsum. Gypsum, what is the formula of gypsum? It is calcium sulfate 2H2O is called as gypsum. When you are heating this gypsum at a temperature of 100 degrees or like that, then generally it exists in the form of there are two forms, orthorhombic form. As we have studied in the solid state, there are two forms, orthorhombic form. On heating, this orthorhombic gypsum changes to monoclinic gypsum. What it forms? Monoclinic gypsum. Right? Orthorhombic gypsum changes to monoclinic gypsum. Sorry, much more correction. On heating, monoclinic changes to orthorhombic, which is on heating at a temperature of 120 degrees to 130 degrees. It will convert into half H2. The removal of what 1/3 of 1/2 of what is this 1.5 molecule of water, it converts into this is we call calcium sulfate hemi-hydrate, which is generally called as plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris. In short, we call it as POP. What it is called? POP, plaster of Paris. This plaster of Paris is very widely used in making of statues and the setting of domes in surgical operations. This plaster of Paris is used for various purposes. So, this POP is used in manufacture of many of statues as well as in bone setting and various surgeries it is used. It is used as a building material. Right? What is the chemistry involved in the gypsum is that gypsum and plaster of Paris. When this plaster of Paris, it can be represented two ways. The representation of plaster of Paris is very important. It can be represented as COSO4 taken off H2O, or it may also be represented 2CaSO4 H2. Both the representations are set. If you take 2 moles of calcium sulfate, you get 1 mole of water. If 1 mole of calcium sulfate is there, it will be half mole of water. This when it is mixed with water, it will be converted into calcium. This is plaster of Paris, which will be converted into gypsum. Which form of gypsum it is? This is a gypsum of orthorhombic form. Orthorhombic form. When it is heated, it will be converted into calcium sulfate plus H2. This is monoclinic form. So whenever you are adding water to the plaster of Paris, it becomes soft and becomes hard. When it converts into on leaving it becomes hard, which will be converted into what? Calcium sulfate of what is this? 2H2O, which is called gypsum, orthorhombic gypsum. This is on heating, it will be converted into monoclinic gypsum, which will be a very strong substances. This is the chemistry involved in plaster of Paris and gypsum. If you are talking about the uses of this gypsum and plaster of Paris, uses of gypsum, if you are talking, it is used in making of cement. It is also used in making of POP, which is used in making of various statues as well as boards and other purposes. It is used as a fertilizer in agriculture, as it forms a double bond with ammonium sulfate. This ammonium sulfate CuSO4 2H2O is basically a fertilizer. Ammonium sulfate, calcium sulfate of bihydride. It is also used in medicine. These are some uses of calcium sulfate, and that is gypsum and plaster of Paris. The last compound of calcium is that cement. Cement is one of the commercially important substances formed by the calcium and its compounds. Cement is actually a grayish, heavy, dirty powder, which is actually a mixture of. It is a strongly heated mixture of limestone and clay, which is being discovered by a scientist called Joseph and Mizot. There were two scientists of Britain who were actually discovered this cement. What is limestone? Calcium carbon is called as limestone. What is clay? Clay is actually a mixture of silica and aluminium. Nothing but silica, aluminium mixture is called as clay. When this dry powder mixture of limestone and silica is strongly heated, it forms a heavily greyish dirty powder which is called as cement. If you are talking about the composition of cement, general composition of cement basically consists of following substances, and that is calcium oxide, which is obtained by the calcium carbonate. It comprises 50 to 60% of the cement. The second important compound is that silicon oxide, which comprises around 20 to 25% of the cement. And another important compound is aluminum, which comprises 5 to 10% of the cement. And another important compound we can say, this is gypsum. Gypsum, that is calcium sulfate bihydride, it comprises 2 to 3%. And as well as magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide also comprises 2 to 3%. And other oxides such as hematite, iron oxide comprises 1 to 2%. This is the main composition of the cement. And raw material required for the cement are raw materials required for the manufacture of cement. Basically, it requires 3 raw materials. One is limestone. What is limestone? Calcium carbonate. It requires around 61 to 69% of calcium carbonate. And the second raw material is clay. Clay is actually a combination of aluminium silicates and silica and aluminium. What is silica? Silicon oxide. And What is aluminum? Aluminum oxide. Another important substance is the gypsum. Gypsum. These are the raw materials required for the manufacturing of cement. If you are seeing the process of manufacturing or preparation, during the preparation what happens? This finely divided powder, this calcium carbonate as well as clay will be finely crushed into the powder, finest powder they will make. This dry powder is strongly heated around a temperature of 600 to 1000 degrees centigrade, so that these compounds will convert into corresponding what happens? Calcium silicates and aluminum silicate. This finely heated powder, strongly heated mixture of limestone and clay is called as clinker cement. What it is called? Clinker cement. When this clinker cement is added to gypsum, it forms cement. This is the manufacturing method of this cement. Now, the important aspect of this cement is that the ratio of silica to aluminum and the ratio of calcium oxide to the other oxides should be maintained in a specific value to get a appropriate cement. Here, the ratio of silica to percentage of alumina in cement should be in the range of 2.5 to 4. The similar manner, the ratio of calcium oxide to the some of the percentages of silica, less percentage of alumina, less percentage of iron oxide should be in the range of 1.9 to 2.1 to get a good cement. Basically, a cement without iron oxide is white. There are two types of cement. One will be white cement and another will be grey cement. The grey cement will be generally because of the combination of iron oxide. These ratios are very important, right? Now, if you are talking about the principle involved in the hardening of cement, which is called as setting of cement. Generally, what happens when cement is mixed with water? When cement is mixed with water, it becomes a very hard mass. This process is called as setting. During the setting, what happens? Various chemical reactions take place. During that chemical reactions, this calcium oxide and silica aluminum will combine with each other to form corresponding calcium silicates as well as calcium aluminum. During this reaction, what happens? The calcium in limestone will combine with the silicates to form calcium silicates, as well as it also combines with alumina to form calcium aluminates. Basically, there will be different types of calcium silicates, bicalcium silicates, as well as tricalcium silicates. This is called dicalcium silicate. This is called tricalcium silicate. These substances are responsible for the hardening of the cement, which this process is called as setting, and it also forms tricalcium aluminum. This is called tricalcium aluminum. So these processes, chemical reactions are responsible for the hardening of cement, which is called as setting. And during the hardening of cement, what happens? Frequently we need to sprinkle the water on the cement. So when you are sprinkling the water, what happens? This water helps to form hydrates, which are in the needle-like structure, which will help the cement to become very hard due to the interlocking of these hydrated needle-like structures. This is about the setting of cement and the chemistry involved in the setting of the cement. And as we know, the cement is very widely used in the building purpose as one of the most important building material. This is about the cement and its uses. Another important concept of this particular chapter is that uses of alkali earthy metals. Under this, the first metal is that beryllium. Beryllium is basically used is used as electrode in neon sign lamps. In neon sign lamps, it is used as an electrode. You might have seen it. You will use in the night time in order to give a direction. You use the neon sign lamps. In this neon sign lamps, beryllium is used as an electrode, and it is also used in making of alloys. It forms alloys with copper, etc. Beryllium and copper alloy is generally used in high strength springs. It is used in high strength springs. Springs of high mechanical strength are generally made by the alloys of beryllium and copper. Hope you know what is meant by alloy. Alloys are the homogeneous mixture of two or more than two elements or metals. Now, if we are talking about the magnesium, magnesium is used in extraction of boron and silicon. Magnesium ribbon along with barium oxide, barium peroxide is used. This is a very important application of magnesium. Is used as ignition mixture in thermite process. In the extraction of thermite process, we use this mixture of magnesium and barium oxide as an ignition mixture. And magnesium is used in alloys. It forms various alloys, such as if you are talking about magnesium. Magnesium is an alloy of magnesium and what is aluminum. Electron is also an alloy of magnesium. You need to remember this combination, zinc and copper. Duralum is also alloy of magnesium, aluminum, copper, manganese, etc. It is very essential component of alloys. Magnesium carbonate is used in toothpaste, and magnesium hydroxide, this is called milk of magnesium, is used as antacid. It is used as antacid. We are talking about the applications of calcium and barium. Calcium and barium are very highly reactive with the atmosphere. They can combine with the oxygen and nitrogen readily. So they are used, calcium and barium are used to remove atmospheric air from vacuum tubes. They are used to create vacuum. And radium is used in radiotherapy. In cancer treatment, radium is used as a radiotherapy. It will be used to treat the cancer tumors. These are some uses of elements of this second group element. Another important aspect of this is that the biological importance of calcium and magnesium. If we are talking about the biological importance of calcium and magnesium. Generally in the body there is about a total 200 grams of calcium and 25 grams of magnesium. In our entire body, the total weight of calcium will be around 400 grams and calcium will be 25 grams. 25 grams of magnesium will be present. If you see, generally magnesium is one of the important, Mg+2 is one of the important metal of chlorophyll, which is responsible for the photosynthesis. This is in plants. If you are talking about the animals, Mg+2 is an important constant of various enzymes. Enzymes such as hydrolase and phosphotransferase. These are the enzymes which are essential in the ATP metabolism. They are useful for the release of energy from the ATP metabolism. If you are talking about the calcium is an important constant of bones, that is calcium phosphate. Calcium phosphate is an important constant of the bones, and it is also forms an important constant of enamel of teeth. This is the enamel of teeth. This is the strongest substance of our body, that enamel of teeth, which is made by calcium phosphate. Generally, our body requires around 200 to 300 milligrams of calcium supplement daily. These calcium ions are also essential for the nerve impulse transformation. In the exchange of messages from the various parts of the body to the brain, the communication between the brain and the body parts will be generally in the form of nerve impulses. In the transformation of nerve impulse, this calcium plays a very important role. In the transformation of nerve impulse as well as the contraction and relaxation of muscles, calcium ions are very essential. And this is about the biological importance of calcium and magnesium. This makes the completion of the discussion of alkali earth metals as well as the S block. And that's all for the class. And from the next class onwards, we will discuss the objective questions of this particular chapter.